This podcast is brought to you by HealthRangerStore.com. Lab-tested, clean foods and supplements for immune function, long-term storage, and survival applications. Every purchase helps fund this free speech video platform. Thank you for your support. So the silver lining of all the insanity that's happening right now with the radical left just going totally bonkers insane, attacking police now, and even attacking anyone who defends police. Like if you say it's good to have cops in society, I'm glad to be able to call 911 and have people show up to stop a rapist. You know, even people who defend cops are now being fired from their jobs. Like cop shows are being canceled. You know, the cop Legos, the police station Lego promotions are being canceled. I mean, cop movies are being canceled. The New York Times or the Washington Post, I don't remember who all it is, they're saying that shouldn't be any more cop TV shows. No, like all cops are bad now, according to the left. But the silver lining of this is that now America is finally seeing the total fucking lunacy of Democrats, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa. There will never be police in America who vote Democrat ever again after this thing has run its course, because the police the police are seeing the total anarchy, lunacy, mass mental illness of the radical left on display. And by the way, I think that's part of the plan. I think part of Trump's plan, if you want to say that he's playing 4D chess here, is to allow the lunatic Democrats to show how effing insane they are so that America can finally see it. You know, we've been talking about this lunacy for many years, but of course, just because of these lunatics are running Google and they're running Facebook, they're running Twitter, they've been banning everybody that makes sense. So if you say, a biological man cannot magically become a biological woman, you know, males don't menstruate. If you say things like that, you get banned, because the radical left, they are lunatics. They are mentally ill. They all belong in insane asylums. And finally, now the rest of America is seeing it. The cops are seeing it. The police are seeing it. Like, oh my God, these left-wing Democrats and Black Lives Matter, these people are insane. They want total anarchy. They say cops are bad. They're burning down the police stations. They're berating cops and people who support cops. So I thought, being one of the most banned voices in America, that one of the most effective things that I could do today, right now, is to say thank you to the police across America. Thank you, all police officers, the men and women in blue. Thank you for what you do, because you have a thankless job, you are underpaid, you are under-equipped, and now you are being blamed for everything that's wrong with America when you police, are mostly wonderful, upstanding people who go out of your way to help others. And if you're wondering why I know this, well, I served on the board of the Tucson Police Foundation in Tucson, Arizona for several years. I raised money for cops. I helped train cops in hand-to-hand combat, especially edged weapons defense. I trained cops for a couple of years in how to not get cut by bad guys with blades. Let's just put it that way. I have supported cops. I have trained alongside cops. I've had former cops train me in firearms combat. What else? Hostage rescue scenario training that I've done alongside cops and former cops. I've done gun competitions with active duty cops. I've had cops on the firing range come up to me and ask me for advice on how to make their rifles more effective, how to handle their sights, how to do bilateral shooting. I have been in and around, mixed in with cops and training and firearms and hand-to-hand combat and fundraising and nonprofits, all that stuff for many, many years, probably like 20 years, okay? So I've been around a lot of cops. And you know what I've never seen? What I've never seen with my own eyes, I have never seen a racist cop. Not once. I've never seen a racist cop. I've never heard a cop use the N-word Well, except black cops talking to other black cops, I should say, joking around with each other. I've never heard a white cop use the N-word, not in any kind of derogatory manner. You know what I've never seen? I've never seen a cop abuse someone. I've never seen a cop kill someone. Now, I've seen cops do crazy, crazy things. I was hanging out with a bunch of cops on Christmas Eve one time when they were raising money dressed up as Santa Claus, and I donated thousands of dollars to their, I think they were doing like a children's toys money raising thing. So cops were giving toys to children because, they're good-hearted people. I was in a car as they were driving across town one time, and they got a little loopy, not alcohol related, just having fun. And they would stop at, traffic lights and scream out Chinese fire drill. And they would all get out of the doors and run around the car at the edge of the intersection and jump back in, and they're all dressed in Santa Claus suits. I've seen that. That's just cops blowing off steam, folks. And by the way, Chinese fire drill is not really a racist term, in case you're thinking that's some kind of weird racist thing. My wife is Chinese, and she had a good laugh when she heard that story, by the way. Didn't feel offended at all. I should clarify, my wife is Taiwanese, not communist Chinese, but Taiwan, which is anti-communist. But so look, I've seen cops do fun, crazy things to blow off steam. I've never seen a cop do anything mean to anybody. I've seen cops drink too much after hours on their own private time, but I've never seen a cop intentionally harm somebody. Never seen it. I've seen cops that needed better firearms skills because their cop department doesn't give them enough training time, not enough training ammo, but I've never seen a cop use a firearm in any way that wasn't completely professional. And I've known cops, I've known cop captains and cop lieutenants and beat cops. I've known all of them, all good people. Every cop that I've ever met has been an honest, upstanding citizen. So I want to say thank you to all the cops across America. And let me be specific. Thank you for stopping on the side of the road and helping that old lady change her car tire when you didn't have to do it. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for responding to that domestic violence call where that crackhead husband is beating his wife to a bloody pulp. Thank you for intervening and stopping that violence and saving that woman's life, even while you were being spit on by that meth head violent drug abuser. Thank you for doing that. Society should thank you. Thank you for showing up at all the false alarms where, like a commercial alarm system goes off and you show up and it's a false alarm. It was a mouse. It was a mouse that set off the alarm. You showed up because you got called by the alarm company. It wasted your time, but you showed up anyway just in case it was real. And sometimes it is real. Sometimes there is a burglar or a break-in. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being willing to put your life on the line, even though your chief of police is probably a politician rather than a real cop, and probably was put in place by some corrupt mayor that is pandering to the voters instead of giving you the equipment that you need as a cop. Like, let's say a Glock that's newer than a 1997 model Glock. How about a Glock where the extractor still works? that would be amazing. How about a couple of spare mags? How about some ammunition that isn't just full metal jacket 9mm? How about some hollow point self-defense rounds? You know what I mean? How about more than 50 rounds a month for your range time practice so you can actually maintain some firearms proficiency skills? How about a ballistic vest? How about a freaking flashlight that works that wasn't made 20 years ago? Cops need better gear. And there's all these budget cuts where they don't get good gear. And now you got these insane lunatic leftists that are saying, oh, you got to cut the cop budget even more because George Floyd died. Therefore, every cop in America should be punished and not have a ballistic vest that works and not have a firearm that works and not have a flashlight that works because we're just going to punish cops. That's freaking insanity. Cops need better gear. You want to have more safe societies? Give your cops better freaking gear. Give them better training, more range time. Better radios, for God's sake. Some of those radios, like that made in China crap, doesn't even work half the time. Give them radios that work without all the static. Give them, auto gain with noise reduction so they can hear what the hell is on the radio. Giving them crap radios and then expect them to always understand. How about cop cars that work instead of cop cars that are breaking down all the time? It'd be nice if a cop could get in a cop car that actually goes, where the brakes work too. That would be awesome. Cops need brakes because of course they drive aggressively. They're cops. They're sometimes chasing people. They're responding. They're pulling U-turns in the middle of the street. They're doing defensive driving tactics, whatever. Yeah, they're going to wear out the freaking brakes. Give them good brakes so they can drive hard and get things done. You know what? You want your cities to be safe? Increase the funding for cops. So you don't have like one cop by himself or herself out on patrol with no freaking backup. You need pairs of cops. You need cop buddies so they can cover each other's backs. You don't send an isolated cop out into Detroit in the middle of the night with crappy gear and no brakes and no buddy and expect him to work miracles to just stop all the gang violence by himself like he's some kind of Superman who can work on no budgets and no thanks from the public. And the only thing that he can look forward to is some psychopathic left-wing Antifa lunatic with a camera yelling at him and throwing things at him and blaming him for everything, even though it's the gangbangers that are carrying out all the violent crimes and the arson, the looting, the rape, the burglary. Cops didn't do that. That's your own homeboys, folks. That's your gangbangers doing that stuff. Cops are trying to stop that. Cops aren't setting the fires. Cops aren't doing the looting. They're trying to stop that, but they're outnumbered. So I want to thank the cops. Thank you, cops, for putting your lives on the line. Thank you for doing the job that everybody else refuses to do. Thank you for helping to maintain that thin blue line that prevents society from breaking down into total freaking anarchy on any given day. And frankly, you know what? Here's a suggestion. I know this will never happen. I think we should have a nationwide cop strike. I know it's not ethical. I'm not really serious about that because too many innocent people would die. But what about a 3-day strike? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just to remind America what happens when there are no cops. Okay, so Friday, Saturdays. How about a 3-day strike? A national coordinated cop union organized strike. No cops in LA, no cops in Chicago, no cops in Detroit, no cops in Houston, no cops in New York City, no cops in Miami, Seattle, Portland, Denver, Phoenix, on and on and on. I wonder how that weekend's gonna go. No cops in Baltimore, no cops in St. Louis. How's that gonna go? It's gonna be basically a purge. It's gonna be total anarchy. It's gonna be mass death and destruction. Again, that's why I'm not serious about this, but as a thought experiment, it's worth pointing out. You take the cops away from this society, you know what happens? The gangbangers run everything, and they destroy everything in sight. We're talking about not just lootings and arson and burglaries. We're talking about rapes and hits, executions, murders, kidnapping and ransom operations, targeting the kids of those wealthy, rich, white liberals living with their private security guards behind their gated communities. It's those rich asshole white liberals who are saying, defund the cops. Yeah, because you don't live in the inner city, you stupid ass mother. You don't live in the city. You live in your little gated community. We do little private security guards. What about the inner city kids, huh? They're the ones that have to deal with the defunding of the police. They're the ones living in the drug-infested, gang-infested communities that, frankly, a bunch of white liberals keep creating and reinforcing with their policies. Policies like cutting funding from police. And I don't know who these white liberals are who think that they're just going to have, what do they call it? Community policing. Oh, as if social workers are going to solve this problem. That's going to be a sight to see. I want to see that video of the first social worker walking up to an AK-47 wielding gangbanger who's just carried out a child kidnapping, a wife beating, and a drug run. And the social worker says, let's just talk about this. Everything's going to be so positive because we're going to work together as a community for peace and prosperity. And that gangbanger is going to rack that charging handle, that AK-47, and put about 5 rounds through that social worker and say, no, thank you, bitch. I got other plans. Because that's why you have cops. Because there's a lot of gangbangers who don't give a crap about your social worker plans. They don't give a crap about your little do-goody utopian left-wing society. They got other plans. They got plans to rape and murder and loot and rob and steal and run drugs and everything else they can carry out. And you know who stops those plans? It's cops. C-O-P-S. Cops are stopping those plans every single day. You take the cops out of the equation, all that shit goes down. All of it. Yeah, you want those 7.62 by 39 AK rounds going drilling through buildings and walls all across your city and hitting innocent children and women and grandmothers? Take the cops away. That's what's going to happen. All you liberals who think that defunding the police is going to make your societies any safer, you better find a ballistic helmet, a ballistic vest with like level 4 metal plates, because you got to stop AK rounds. And just your standard level 3 vest does not stop AK rounds, by the way. Maybe stops 9mm, that's about it. You need to stop the big rounds, because that's what's going to be flying all over your city when you say take away the cops. That's why I say, again, as a thought experiment, let's just have a 3-day cop strike. Nationwide, no cops, no 911. How about that? Yeah, no cops. See what happens. Because it is the downfall of society when you do that. You ever think about why? I mean, why did we ever come up with cops in the first place? Why? I mean, I guess a lot of people could argue, well, we can take care of ourselves. You know, we got our own guns and we got our own whatever. We can take care of ourselves. So why do you need cops? The reason you need cops is because not everybody can be tactically trained to shoot intruders. You know what I mean? You have cops because you delegate responsibility for someone to show up with guns to stop bad people from doing bad things. It's the same reason why you have fire departments, because not everybody can fight fires. So you train a bunch of specialists to fight fires. You get young, healthy, strong men for the most part because they got to carry a lot of gear. They got to breathe in a lot of hot air. They got to risk their lives and sometimes carry victims out of burning homes and buildings. So you got to be strong. So you hire young guys, you train them, they become specialists. They're called firefighters. They can fight fires better than you can, better than I can. That's all they do. They work out, they lift weights, they get strong, they save lives, they put out fires. This is their job. You delegate firefighting to them so that you don't have a bunch of people in society like running around with water buckets. Where do we throw the pails of water to put out the fire? You know, grab your brother, Bobby. We got to put out this fire. No, you call 911 and you got fire hydrants set up. You know, you got fire trucks. They've got ladders and shit, and they put out fires. Unless you want to put out all the fires yourself, you'd be wise to have a fire department. Same thing with, ambulance drivers and EMTs. Same thing with cops. Why do you have cops? Why do you have specialists who are proficient in firearms and in de-escalation of violence, who know how to handle rough and tough bad people, gangbangers, people who have the ability to stop others, to force them to stop committing crimes? Why do you have cops? Because not everybody in society can be proficient in all those things. Not every 78-year-old grandmother can wrestle some 250-pound, drug-using meth head to the ground. Takes cops to do that. Takes cops. Also, by the way, it takes a cop mentality to see the dark side of humanity. The crap that cops see, that they go through. You know why cops don't trust anybody? You know why it's hard for cops to have friends? Because cops see the darkest, twisted, most destructive side of society. They see the wife abuse, the husbands beating the wives usually, sometimes the other way around, but usually it's husbands beating wives, bloody to a pulp, knocking them unconscious, busting their teeth out. Cops have picked teeth up off the floor. Yeah, veteran cops, they've seen overdose victims, people dead on a couch in a shithole trailer, a rat-infested shithole, dead on the couch, drooling with tattoos and earrings and a needle in their arm and a spoon and a lighter on the table and a starving, flea-ridden dog in the kitchen. I mean, cops have seen this stuff. They've seen the worst side of humanity. And what I'm describing here doesn't even scratch the surface, okay? What cops see, the horrors of humanity. Every cop that has been out there, that has responded to these calls, has seen these things with their own eyes, they can never view humanity the same way again. They should be receiving combat pay for the psychological trauma that they undergo, while the rest of society, all these people, especially these white liberals, sit behind their cubicles, working for Google, coding away in an air-conditioned cubicle, and they think that they're so supreme and so smart and that they can call for cops to be defunded because you feel safe in your little liberal Google cubicle, in your little safe world, in your little white Silicon Valley neighborhood, because you've never seen reality. You never responded to a shooting. You've never responded to a parent abusing a child, an infant child, have you? Never seen that shit. You don't want to see it. Cops see that all the time. That's right. They've seen the worst of society. And so it's difficult for them to integrate in this society. And then to make it worse now, we got all these people piling on and condemning cops, saying, damn you for being a servant of society. Damn you for putting your life at risk. Damn you for working for low pay to try to save lives and stop violence. Damn you. Oh my God, how horrifically immoral, unethical, not just tragic, but inhumane for these mostly white liberals and leftists, but sometimes a lot of black leftists too, to say that cops are bad for society, that it's cops' fault. That it's cops' fault. Oh, the systemic police brutality. You want to see brutality? Go to Chicago on any Saturday night and look at brothers killing brothers. That's brutality. Not just with firearms either, with freaking machetes and meat hooks and spiked baseball bats. Yeah, you talk to Chicago cops, you ask them what they've seen. It's not just clean gunshot wounds, by the way. It's a lot of other weapons, and some of them are pretty damn sick. New York cops have seen that too. You know, and speaking of New York cops, I'm not here saying that every cop is clean. I know there's some dirty New York cops out there, but for the most part, cops are doing their duty. And you know what? I mean, with the crap pay that they're getting, can you blame them for lifting a few Benjamins off a stack of drug money every once in a while just to buy a ballistic vest or something? You know, can you blame them? You got cops getting paid, what, $30,000 a year in some places, busting drug runners who are sitting on millions, while the city won't even give that cop the equipment that they need to do their job safely and come home at night to their wife or family with their life intact. You bet from time to time they're going to lift some Benjamins off the money stacks. You bet they are. I mean, you got to buy gear. You got to be safe. I don't even blame them for that. There's a little bit of skimming that goes on because they need to pay for some basic things like, I don't know, hospital visits. You know what I mean? Ammo for the range to get proficient. Can't even blame them for that. It's just drug money anyway. But the bottom line here, folks, you know, honestly, not only do I thank cops, I thank firefighters. I thank EMTs. I thank the first responders. There have been times when I've needed them in my life, in my business, in my, many years of operating in society. A few times they've responded to things that I needed, and they were amazing, and they were professional. And all they want is a thank you. You know what? It's all they want is a thank you, just to be recognized with a sense of human decency by the rest of society. Just to be recognized instead of condemned. You wonder why cops are frustrated? It's because everybody's blaming them for everything. Why don't you try thanking your local cops instead of stalking them with your Instagram video to try to see if they step outside the line? Oh my God, we caught a cop doing something wrong. No. Hey, how about you film some of the thousands of things they did right? How about you film the cops preventing violence? Oh, I know, because nobody in the media has a story. Today a cop prevented a mass shooting that didn't happen. There's never a story about that, is there? All the things that cops do to stop violent crime, to arrest child kidnappers and child traffickers. You don't see a headline, cop prevented 15 children from being trafficked and raped. It never happened. Like, that's not a headline you ever see. But in truth, cops are preventing that every single day. And if we had cops going on strike, you would find out there'd be children disappearing all across America because there's a bunch of freaking criminals, psychos, and sickos out there who prey on these children. There's a whole child trafficking slave trade in America. Trust me, cops know that too, because they've busted some of those sickos. They've busted them. But you don't see the headlines. Cops never get credit when horrible things are prevented. They only get blamed when that 1 out of a million cop makes a mistake on video. And sometimes, like in this case, I'm not even sure that this was unintentional. I kind of think the whole thing was rigged and planned in order to discredit cops and set off race riots, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't think other cops in America would do that. In fact, I happen to know that cops are trained to never put their knee on the neck of a suspect who is being detained on the ground against concrete. Every cop is trained not to do that. You know why? Because when you do that, it kills people. Every cop is trained not to do that. Cops are actually, you wouldn't believe how restrained cops are most of the time. In fact, your average cop out there is holding back 99% of the time. They could carry out way more forceful arrests, far more forceful responses. You know how many cops have refrained from opening fire when they probably should have issued some rounds downrange? Cops are scared to death to restrain anybody. They're scared to death to arrest anybody now because of this culture of cop hatred that's been pushed all across America. So cops can barely do their jobs. I mean, it's the worst of every circumstance. They're not given the gear to do their jobs. They're not given the thanks when they do their jobs. They're just blamed when they don't do their jobs, but then they're blamed when they try to do their jobs. Also, it's insane. Now, there was that one video one time, I think it was a Trader Joe's in, I think, LA. I just got to mention this because it's so bizarre. And this was all over YouTube a few years ago where the cops were chasing somebody, some gunman, right? Somebody who had shot people. And the dude ran into the Trader Joe's. And a couple of cop cars pull up, I guess maybe 20, 30 yards outside the Trader Joe's entrance. And they just pull out their Glocks and they just start firing into the Trader Joe's. And I remember seeing that and thinking, these are some adrenaline drugged up cops here, because you don't just throw rounds into a public retail facility when you can't even see what's behind all that glass. It turns out they killed the manager of the Trader Joe's. So that stuff does happen, but that's not the normal situation. Normally, they refrain from firing. Normally, they let the guy go rather than try to engage in a firefight in a public place, precisely because innocent people get killed. And there was that one time that the New York cops opened fire on the streets of New York with just like a flurry of 9mm rounds, and they hit like 4 civilians, but not the bad guy. That was a few years ago. But look, we laugh, but the reason that happens is because the New York police department and the city council and everything, they make them have those freaking 12-pound triggers. You couldn't hit anything either with the triggers they have to carry on their guns in New York. You're trying to squeeze off a round and your hand's shaking because you got to squeeze it so hard. When I'm doing Glock, competition shooting or whatever, that's like a 3-pound trigger. Bam, 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 rapid fire, rapid reset. But you can't put 12-pound triggers on a Glock and expect cops to hit anything. And then they blame them for not shooting the right person. It's just what I'm saying. They don't give cops the training. They impair them with the wrong gear or bad gear or gear that doesn't even function half the time. Probably all the sights were jacked up on those Glocks, They probably didn't even have them maintained well because now they're sharing like community guns that are issued to them. You're probably not even allowed to have your own gun as a cop in New York. I don't know. Maybe detectives can carry, but it seems like they don't even want cops to have guns anymore. So, you can't blame cops for all these things that are happening. Most cops are just guys trying to do their best. They're young guys. They're underappreciated. They're underpaid. They got good hearts, but they're human, man. Sometimes they make inadvertent mistakes, just like you or I would do. Have you ever been a cop? You ever tried that job? You know what? Don't condemn cops until you've been in their shoes. If you haven't, traded fists with them, if you haven't rolled on the mats with them in some kind of ground training, if you haven't been on the firing line at a range and shot side by side with them, if you haven't responded to calls, if you haven't taken enemy fire, if you haven't been hit by a gangbanger, punched in the face, spit on, scratched by some screaming drug-induced woman who you're trying to arrest, if you haven't had that stuff happen to you, frankly, you got no business condemning police. You got no business. You think you can do a better job? I dare you. Put on their shoes, get in their cop car, you go be a cop. See if you can last 3 hours. See if you can handle one call. Because I bet you the average American can't handle one call. Because we got a nation of snowflakes and crybullies and whiners and victimhood experts. It's very easy for them to sit behind their little keyboards and talk about, oh, these cops are so terrible, we should cut their funding. Yeah, why don't you try to be a cop one day? Or better yet, have the cops go on strike and wait till some arsonist or looter shows up at your house, see what you do about that. Yeah, how's your Glock running right now, by the way? Yeah, how bad is your hand going to be shaken when you need to shoot some intruder that's coming at you with a spiked baseball bat, or let's say 6 intruders who are there, to rape you and shoot your dog and steal your big screen TV? How bad are your hands going to be shaken? You're probably going to piss yourself. You think it's easy to be a cop? Think again. You probably don't even have a gun. You average liberal don't even have a gun. You think guns are bad. Yeah, you can think that all day until you need one. That's why you call 911, by the way, because you want usually a man with a gun to show up and solve your problem. That's why you have police, because you got a problem. I don't know, a prowler in your yard, a stalker, a rapist, a car thief in your driveway. You got a problem. You want somebody with a gun to show up and solve your problem. Those people are called cops. Maybe you should thank them instead of condemning them all the time. Because if you ever tried to be a cop yourself, if you had to do everything yourself, you would find it's a lot more difficult than you think. In fact, you would beg for cops. You would beg for them. Because it's not easy to do what they do. It's not easy to go through the mental anguish to witness the dark side of humanity that they witness. It's not easy to shoot somebody, even if it's justified. The PTSD issues, the therapy, the counseling they have to go through, the divorces, the time away from family, the risk of never coming home alive. You ever had to deal with those things? All you pansy-ass motherfucking flakes working in your high-tech cubicles, you ever have a risk of not coming home alive? No, you're just writing JavaScript. You don't know what it's like. So stop condemning those real heroes, the men and women in blue in this society who are making society a safer place for you so that you have the right to speak, you have the ability to drive down the road without being hijacked by gangbangers, so that you have the luxury of being able to sit behind your keyboard and whine and complain about everything because there are not a bunch of muggers and violent murderers in your front yard besieging your house to steal your electronics and your jewelry and rape your daughter. You should thank the police that you have a life of such luxury that you can sit there and complain without being shot in the head by gangbangers. That's what you should do. And believe me, every cop in America that hears this wishes they could say exactly what I'm saying right now, but if they did, they'd be fired. That's right. They wish they could tweet what I'm saying. Trust me, I know plenty of cops. They would love to tweet what I'm saying right now, but they'd be fired. So just consider this a proxy message, a message that every cop wants to tell you, but they can't because you're recording them all the time. You're surveilling them all the time. You're trying to get them fired when they are your last line of hope for a civil society. And without them, this country would be lost. You would have nothing. You would have no property. You would have no home, no safety, no car. You would not be able to walk down the street. You would not be able to walk into a Whole Foods and buy your organic freaking soy latte if not for cops. You wouldn't be able to function in society without cops. Maybe you should think about thanking them instead of condemning them. I thank cops all across America. And I'm glad that most Americans have come to their senses on this and realize that not only do we need cops now more than ever, but we need to pay cops better, we need to equip cops better, and we need to train cops better. And we need cops, far from abolishing cops, we need to be celebrating them, because without them, we would have nothing in our society. Nothing. Keep that in mind the next time you sit down behind your keyboard and think you're going to whip out some words of wisdom. Walk a day in their shoes first, if you can even dare to do so, because I bet most Americans couldn't. They would urinate themselves, facing just a tiny sliver of what the average cop in America faces every day. My name's Mike Adams. I'm one of the most censored voices in America because I speak from the heart. I speak my mind. I speak the truth. None of this is scripted, as you could probably tell. Sometimes I offend people. That's their problem. I tell the truth. Not everybody likes it. But I thank you for listening. You can hear more of my podcasts at brighteon.com. That's the word bright, BRIGHTEON.com. It's the free speech alternative to YouTube. I built it. My company spent millions of dollars to build it because I was censored by YouTube because of podcasts just like this. So if you want the truth, and frankly, if you're out there listening and you're a cop, I invite you to post on brighteon.com. You will not be censored. Post your cop stories. Even if you have to alter your voice and wear a hoodie and put yourself in shadow, you know what? Do it. Tell the world the truth about what it's like to be a cop. We should have a whole series like cop truth videos. You know, the horrors of being a cop, all the crazy crap that you've seen in society. You know, talk about that. Post that if you can safely. I mean, don't put your job in jeopardy. Don't put your, sources in jeopardy, whatever, have operational security, of course, but post things because the public needs to know. And pro-cop videos are being banned off of YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, and even Google is de-indexing pro-cop content. Can you believe that? The only content they're going to allow is anti-cop content. That's how much the radical left tech industry hates you for who you are and for the job that you do. It's incredible. But you're welcome on brighteon.com. And we're gonna keep putting money into that platform to give a voice to people like you who are telling the truths that society needs to hear. And frankly, I'm going to think about what I can do for my company to maybe donate to cops, donate more gear. I've got so much good stuff to give to cops. It's just, I've got like this colloidal silver gel that's this wound healing gel with anti-bacterial essential oil ingredients and everything. It's amazing. The problem is it's not, FDA approved. So I'm not sure that any cop department can use it because it doesn't have the right paperwork. You know what I mean? But I'll keep thinking about ways that we can help support cops. And lastly, I know this is kind of on the long side, but I'll just mention this. I'm a concealed carry holder like millions of people all across the country. I'm in Central Texas, and I want the cops in Texas to know that we Texans, we the people, we support you. And if there's ever a shooting that goes down, and this has happened multiple times in Texas, guess what? We got your back. We got your back. We can assist, we can cover, we can offer covering fire, we can hand ammo to you, we can go home and get more ammo, we can go home and bring bigger guns, whatever you need. And if there's something at a community level, you need ballistic vests, you need ballistic helmets, you need night vision, you need long range sniper rifles, with Tremor 3 reticles. We got that shit. We got you covered. Even if your department can't afford it, a lot of citizens can. We have that stuff. And we will gladly donate it to you or lend it to you, whatever's appropriate for the circumstances. Like if there's some radical left-wing Antifa terrorist mob like walking down the highway through Central Texas, torching everything and burning and killing people, that's an ideal situation for a 50 cal Barrett or, a 338 Lapua Magnum rifle, or whatever you need to, cover that bridge or cover that overpass. We got that stuff for you. So reach out to the citizens. If the county or the city is not funding you appropriately, a lot of citizens will step in if you just ask. Just put out the word, hey, we need some help. We need some ammo. We need, I don't know, whatever you need. We need a ballistics computer to calculate, because we're doing some long range community defense, whatever you need, the citizens have it. And here in Texas, we don't put up with that lawlessness bull crap that the rest of the country puts up with. Well, maybe they do in Austin. Maybe they do in Dallas. Maybe they do in Houston. I'm not even sure. But in real Texas, that is rural Texas, we don't put up with that crap at all. And if you're a member of law enforcement, you're a sheriff or a deputy, a police officer, and you want to help defend the peace, and you want to help defend innocent lives and defend property in Texas, the citizens, we've got your back. We will do our best to help assist you, not to step on your toes, not to get in your way, but just to assist you, provide logistics support. That could be something as simple as sandwiches, Cops get hungry too. Or bottles of water in the summer, It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be high-tech gear. It can just be freaking food and water and, sunscreen or whatever you need. So reach out to the citizens, okay? There's a lot of citizens who support you. Don't believe the lies of the media that you think everybody hates you. No, it's just these stupid, insane leftists, these psychopaths. They're the ones who hate you. The media hates you, and the tech giants hate you. CNN hates you. The real Texans do not hate you. They appreciate you, and they are ready to help you as circumstances dictate. So again, my name is Mike Adams. I thank you for listening. God bless America. And thank you, cops. Thank you for helping to make our society a safer place for all of us. Be safe. Thank you for watching. If you want to support our mission, visit us at healthrangerstore.com for the world's largest selection of lab-verified superfood and nutritional products for healthy living. It's at healthrangerstore.com.